Right, Laura, and we have learned 2 juveniles are being detained in this case. There was an adult who was being held, but it was determined that person was not involved and has been released. Now, we have also learned overnight a total of 23 people were actually victims of this case. If KCPD had charged anyone in this case, normally they would have to do it within 24 hours, but we just learned a few minutes ago from a KCPD spokeswoman, because the 2 people being held are juveniles, the 24-hour rule does not apply, so they continue to be held without being charged at this point. Now, in addition to Lisa Lopez Galvin, who was fatally shot, Kansas City Police Chief Stacey Graves tells us there are 22 surviving victims. She said they range in age from 8 to 47, and at least half of them are under 16.
First and foremost, I want to stress that preliminary investigative findings have shown there was no nexus to terrorism or homegrown violent extremism. This appeared to be a dispute between several people that ended in gunfire.
Now, if the 2 juveniles are eventually charged, it's unlikely their names are going to be released anytime soon, if at all. Ultimately, it will be decided by family court if perhaps maybe the 2 juveniles would be charged as adults. It would pave the way for their identities to be released. Reporting live outside KCPD headquarters downtown, Andy Alcock, KMBC 9 News.
If you left any belongings at the rally site yesterday, you are asked to call the city's 311 hotline, not KCPD. Anyone seeking mental health help after the shooting can call 988. There's also a dedicated KCPD hotline for witnesses to yesterday's events. That number is 816-413-3477. And we also received updates from area hospitals treating the survivors.
University Health shared this update with us just a few hours ago.
I'm very pleased to report that of the 8 gunshot wound victims that were received, 5 of those were dismissed from the emergency department last evening. 3 individuals remain in the hospital. 1 is in stable condition. The other 2 were admitted in critical condition. They remain in critical condition in our ICU, but they both are improving.
We also got an update from Children's Mercy today.
KMBC 9's Peyton Headley is live after attending that news conference 2 hours ago. Peyton?
Right, well, the best news here is that all of the patients inside of Children's Mercy from this rally are expected to recover. Children's Mercy say they had 12 patients taken here from the rally. 11 of them were children from the ages of 6 to 15 years old, and 9 of them had gunshot wounds. Now, only 3 remain in the hospital. They say the focus turns now from physical health concerns to mental health concerns and how to discuss tragedies like this with your children.
We need to be there for our kids. We need to listen first. Your natural tendency may be to talk, because that's what mine is, but really listening to our kids and what their fears are, what their questions are, and making sure we understand what they know before jumping in and sharing more information with them.
And they also discussed the response from healthcare workers, saying the teams on site triaged the victims perfectly in a manner that they say no one else can do. Live outside of Children's Mercy, Peyton Headley, KMBC 9 News.
And they emphasize don't hesitate to reach out for help. If you think you might need it, it is best not to wait. We are learning more about the woman who died in this shooting.
Lisa Lopez Galvin's brother, Beto Lopez, spoke this morning on GMA. He described the moments after getting the call that his sister was among the injured.
When they told us what hospital they were being transported to, my wife and I quickly you couldn't move anywhere in a vehicle, so we walked about 1.5 miles to the hospital where they were taken into the emergency room, and it was pretty chaotic, obviously.
Lopez Galvin was 43 years old. This morning, her community gathered to pray a rosary in her honor.
KMBC 9's Darissa White was there and shares more about Lopez Galvin's life after speaking to her friends. Darissa?
Yes. It is devastating and absolutely heartbreaking. We were not able to go inside of the church just out of respect for the family, but the friends and family that we spoke with said that Lisa was an absolute joy to be around and her presence will be missed. A day of grieving, emotional embraces, and solace as friends and family gathered at St. Agnes Catholic Church to grieve the life of Lisa Lopez Galvan. Lisa was a local DJ and host of Taste of Tinjano, a radio program on KKFI that features a fusion of Mexican and American music influences. Lisa's life was cut short yesterday when gunfire erupted during the Chiefs Super Bowl rally at Union Station, striking and killing her. Her workplace, KKFI, confirming her death in a statement, expressing their deep sorrow for the loss of Lisa. Michael Gomez, director of parish ministries at St. Agnes, shared the heartfelt sentiment, emphasizing her absence Lisa will leave behind.
When I think of Lisa, I think of the word effervescent to describe her personality. I think of the word strong, which would relate to her faith, her family, her commitment to the community, her commitment to Hispanic culture and community in the city. I think of love, which is what she had for her family.
St. Agnes tells me that the dates and times for the service are yet to be determined, but the outpouring of support is appreciated. Reporting live outside of St. Agnes, Darissa White, KMBC 9 News.
And St. Agnes is telling us there are plans in place for a trust or a GoFundMe, but those details are still being arranged.
And we'll keep you updated with those details as we get them. KMBC will continue bringing you updates as we learn more, so watch for developments on air, online, and on our app.